everyone. I just do a very short video to explain for me what mindful movement here at Studio Om, and feel free to add as many creativity of movement, your own music, your own voice, the own colors, your own artists in your movement. But I would love you to respect what mindful movement or movement. It could be yoga, Pilates, it could be movement that you learn from a kinesis, a manipulation, osteopathy. I love tuna, so acupressure from China. I love Thai massage, so I integrate different movement in a mindful way. Everything starts with chi, the energy. In yoga, we call it prana. You can translate in English, energy, life force. What creates everything surrounding us, the trees, the flowers, you and me, the animals, the beautiful natures. Everything starts with chi. And in order for the chi to flow, there should not be any blockages. So normally if you see around nature, everything flow in a natural way. Sometimes there's more yang, so dynamic storm. Sometimes there's calmness, yin, coolness, the yin and the yang. But there's a flow. Now, sometimes a human being, unconsciously, because of past traumas, because of the pain, that you block the flow of energy. Because if you really observe, let's say an animal, I have a dog, the dog hardly gets sick because he expresses his emotion, he expresses his body. If something, he just move, he stretch regular. So actually because he let the flow of the natural flow of energy, he hardly gets sick. And humans have a special capacity, we can think, and often we can create amazing things like music and art. However, somehow because of the thinking capacity, we live in the future worrying what all can go wrong, we live regretting the past, which is completely gone. So we actually wasting the energy. The energy should flow right now, but we're wasting, all this amazing energy because living future and past. And that's why the yogis has found a way to focus our thinking mind, instead of monkeying, jumping one tree, the future and the past, to right now through the breath. And that's why breath is an amazing magic way to connect our energy to the energy of the universe. To heal ourselves, we need to breathe very well, consciously and mindfully. So whatever the movement you do, it has to really respect the flow of energy. One example of how you blocked your energy, not only unconsciously, but sometimes in a class. Let's say you go to the gym and you push yourself very hard. You don't breathe anymore, you tense your face, you block your breathing, your jaw and everything. You're coming out completely tired. And naturally, what you're doing, you're thinking, wow, I have a good workout, I feel the muscle pain. But actually what you do, you block again, but this time a bit more consciously, your energy. So this is completely the opposite of mindful movement. Mindful movement is going in to remove the blockages and let the flow of energy. And then you would feel this amazing power, the amazing intelligence in us that allows so much movement, that allows for self-healing and transform us. So let's again talk about the prana, the chi, the life force. So please, breathing is crucial. I hope that you understand what breathing, and each person maybe have a different way of understanding breathing. For me, I look very deeply into the anatomy of breathing. So the breathing, first start with the diaphragm. The diaphragm, if you have seen, like a champignons, that kind of like this, it hanging on all your rib cage, dividing between your heart, your lungs above, and all the organs. So more or less here, quite high, all the organs in downward in your belly. And so that's why when you breathe in, the diaphragm contracted and slightly pushing down to your belly, and that's why they say belly breathing. Some people do push out their belly, but they don't breathe. They block the diaphragm. So actually by just relaxing and paying more mindfully and let the diaphragm just naturally contracted, like baby breathing. You see the baby very relaxing, breathe. pushing on the organ, the bellies come out, open the space in the lungs, more space, oxygen coming in, and when you exhale, the diaphragm naturally recall back to the initial position, and then CO2 coming out. Okay, so that's the diaphragmatic breathing. Sometimes you can also call the complete yogis breathing, where you open more the rib cage, because underneath you see the diaphragm, and then the rib cage that protects your lungs fully. And somehow there's certain parts of the lungs that we're not fully used, especially the back. As you know, the rib cage at the back is bigger, so actually you can breathe more at the back. And I do it very simple way. So when I'm lying on my back, I put my hands here at the middle of the ribs with my thumb at the back to feel the movement of my rib cage open to the side, front and back. Okay, then you really feel, wow, there's a lot of oxygen coming in. You really truly feel it. You feel the oxygen, you feel the vitality when you breathe in, and then when you breathe out, you can either in yin poses, just let go. In yang poses, we need to engage the core a bit more. You're pulling the navel slightly in, you're lifting inside your pelvis floor. By yoga, you know, mula bandha, but no need to use that word in yoga classes, make it very accessible. So I say pulling your navel towards your lower back, lifting your pelvis floor, let you go and pee, and you hold that in. And if you really want to advance, but sometimes it takes a long time to explain the ujjayi, that we use this here, the throat. You know, when you create like a sound of the ocean through your throat. So you engage 3 bandhas, or 3 gates, I call it, here in the diaphragm and the pelvis floor. Okay, so open fully the rib cage, imagine fully front, back, and the side, front and back, the diaphragm contracted, a lot of space, and when you exhale, either just a natural recall everything, or slightly contracting and engaging the navel in, lifting inside your pelvis floor. So that's what I always do at the beginning, to calm the mind, to focus on the breathing. Then I do the body scan, because you know that it's like a trick. When you're coming from outside world, your mind's still speeding so much. Your client obviously even more, I don't know, more or less. And so we do kind of, I love body scan, because not only to bring the mind back into the body, into the present, but also it relax. When you pay attention through your breathing, you move the chi, the invisible chi. So you relax different part of the body, from the eyebrow to the eye. You scan slowly the jaw, the tongue, the lips, the neck, the shoulders, the arms, the fingers, the chest, the upper back, lower back, hips, thigh, calf, feet and toes. Okay, that's how I do. I do the whole body scan at the beginning. Everybody just calm down. And I love, you know, Thai massage, because when they come to your class, they want to feel connected and safe. And thus, if they feel connected and safe with you, their body already come back into a homeostasis state. And that's why I go around, even with classes with 22, which I've done, I just go around and pulling the neck, kind of cuddling the neck like this and pulling it back, and then lengthening the back of the neck with some essential oil. The idea is either you do it quite longer, so if I have less people, I do longer, and sometimes I do it more slowly. So if I have less people, I do more slowly. I do the movement, side to side, ups and down, a bit of rotation. And if I don't have enough time, the class is full, I just pull in a few times back. Sometimes I use my feet, push the shoulders away, so that they feel relaxed, neck, shoulders relaxed, and they feel safe with you. Okay, that's what I do beginning. So first connect it with them, let them connect with their breath, relax the whole body through the body scan. Then I set the intention for the class. Sometimes you just say, okay, we just would like a flow, a yin and yang, to move the energy for self-healing and transform you. Sometimes I use an emotion, resilient. Sometimes I can use also how to go around with fear. And so set the intention for the class, And then the movement, you combined the Pilates, the yoga, combination of the two, some dance, some other movement that you might think can be very creative. Okay, so first is safety, grounding the people with breath. Then you start warming up the joints. That's what I love about Pilates, because most of the movement, if you observe, they're very simple. Most of the time, it starts with one movement. For example, I would say I'm going to lie on my back. So I'm just going to lie here like this. And so the first Pilates, for example, I do is I stretch my arms. So I stretch and lengthen my body. And then inhale, expand, force out the ribs. Exhale, pulling the navel in, bend the knee, using the abdominal, the strength, lifting up with the strength abdominal. Don't hang your neck like this, straight on your neck. And no abdominal, lifting up with the strength abdominal. Enough, the shoulder blades away from the floor. Look into the navel and stretch. So it warm up the knee, it warm up the belly muscle. It's very simple movement. So I love to use Pilates, and you would see when I maybe record a class, to warm up the joints, the muscle in a very simple way. I find it a very complementary to yoga. So like a warming up of all the joint, the wrist, the back, the hips, the knee, the neck, all the joints being warmed up at the same time, strengthening the core. And your Pilates is very accessible because most of the time it's smaller range of motions, and it's very accessible to everyone. I teach people who couldn't even child pose, have lower back pain, broken neck, and they can do Pilates. So that's why I love Pilates, because it's very accessible, warm up the joints. And then afterwards, either you continue with a more yang poses, so beginning is easy and then more dynamic Pilates pose if it's Pilates class, or if you want to integrate yoga, then you go to the flow of yoga. Okay, that's how I do. So it's kind of building up, warming up joints, slowly go up when you know at the peak, and then slowly cooling down in some yin, stretching pose, and again the breathing, and again set the intention for the day and feel the different beginning at the end. Okay, so that's how more or less a class I would see how it goes, and probably you do already. One thing important that I really stress again is the breath. So I cue most of the time, I say inhale, expand your lungs and feel oxygen coming in. Exhale, use that strength, engage, let's say the core, and lifting up the upper body. So I always, this is more yang pose, so I always use the inhale to prepare the pose with the energy. Exhale, use the strength, and then do the exercise. So please integrate really, and instead of just say, okay, please do your breathing at your own way. The problem is people breathe wrongly, and they don't synchronize, and it's really mismatched, and they feel lost. So I prefer to really integrate the breathing to the movement. I feel that I call it a meditative dance between movement and breath. That's my method. I find it very good to really completely disconnect from the outside world, to go inside through the breath and truly release the energy. So breath is crucially important the whole time. Connected to the breath is sometimes, as I said, people over tensing their body, especially in Pilates. I'm going to give example. So they are not strong enough, so they try to lift, but it doesn't lift, it's there here. So they're tensing their neck, they block their breathing, they're not engaged any core, and they feel pain somehow, even their lower back, because they try to straighten their legs, but it's like, it's so stiff, so I have lower back pain, neck pain. This is no good. Over tensing, blocking energy. Instead, for these people, then you offer option 1. So I'm gonna support my head and slightly lifting. Slightly lift, so I'm not going too high like this, because they don't have the strength. I'll slightly lift. And I feel this muscle that engage, that actively help me to lift, okay? And I support my head, and I breathe to the side and back of the ribs, so I don't block my breathing. Because if you block your breathing, as I said, it's a gymnast that overdoing it. And you would feel exhausted even after a few repetitions, or you feel exhausted completely at the end of the class, and that is not mindful movement. So the breathing needs to be the whole time reminded and the focus is like a train that you put different, I don't know, decoration on the wagons, the colors, the chairs, anything you want, the materials, but then the train, the breathing needs to be there. Otherwise, there's nothing that move. Okay, so breathing is crucially important. The second point, I find it very, very important, is inclusive and safetyness. That means you're coming in a class that's going to be very beginner with lower back pain, neck pain, beginner with no pains, a bit more intermediate and advanced. How can you accommodate these 3-4 people in a group? And yes, you can, because I've been teaching a lot. Inclusive, that means you can challenge the people enough, at the same time cueing them so that they safely arrive in that place. And at the same time, option 1, or even lower the option for the people who have a lot of pain. So I always split the movement in a very simple, let's say for example, again I'm going back to that pose where I'm having the first one. So I would say, okay, extend the arms away from the toes, keep the upper back flat so that you're not overarching your upper back, normal curve in the lower back, expand your lungs. Exhale, you're going to bend the knee, lifting up. And if you have pain in your neck, you can support your head, like so on this mini lift. If you have no pain, you're lifting up, looking to the navel. And if you have no stiff hamstring, you straighten fully. Otherwise, you can bend slightly. Okay, so option 1, option 2, option 3, and option 4. You can really teach people. So you do, let's say, 8 repetitions. So you say, okay, let's do first option 1 together. Then we increase option 2. Then we do option 3, option 4. Okay, you choose which option you want to do. Wow, you don't need to be complicated. Maybe 4 options. You can minimum is 2 options. I give normally 2. I see they some students have too easy. I say, okay, then you go to option 3 and you stay for 10 repetitions or 12. And the more difficult one, the one with a lot of pain, do less repetition, a smaller range of motion, a simpler movement, and take more breaks. That's how you inclusive everyone feel encouraged to their growth point, but not exhausted, not feeling left out, and you safe because they are safe with you. So that's also very, very important. And I have in details, I split in certain poses that we talk about, the cueing and how to give options as well. So first is the grounding, your thoughts, the breathing, the intention, the warming up the joints, the safety, giving different options, encouraging. And then while during the class, let's say for instance, they know, so each of them would do the option, 1, 2, 3, and you say, okay, can you please keep going? Now you know the movement, focus on your breathing, you go around and you correcting them by encouraging them. So by a simple touch, they feel again so safe, they feel being heard, being seen. And so I will lift, I say, okay, lift up your shoulder blades, try not to touch my hand, there's spine underneath your shoulder blades, so lift it up. And then when it comes to the 10th repetition, it's hard. I say, okay, if you have no pain in your joints, can you still breathe? Then focus on the word power. Then it's the mindset, power, power. Because sometimes the body can still do it without any pains, but the mind's giving up. So I would say, okay, now then you encourage them. So go around, connect with them, encourage them, and then go back to the next move. And so that's how I would build up. And let's say you do a flow of movement. You can still do it. For example, the downward dog, I would say, okay, I'm going to give example, downward dog. So now in the flow of yoga, you come to downward dog. I would say open all the fingers, grounding your hand, engaging all your hand. Option 1, completely flat at the feet of the bird. Option 2, you're going to press the palm of the feet here, and then the top of the fingers is sucking the mat towards you. You need a good foundation for freedom of movement and safetyness. Once your hands are grounded, then I'm going to lift up the knee, lengthen my arms. Some people have really stiff shoulders. Offer them option a bit wider, a bit slightly open. Most of the time, people here in this class can do with index finger parallel alongside the mat and arms straight. If not, a bit wider, a bit more open.
And then once your arms are straight and let your head hanging, open the upper chest, the middle lower chest, lower back. Really feel that grounding of the hands, the straightened arm, and the back really lengthening. Feel the back so lengthening, and then slowly adding on without changing the back. The right heels, feel the back of the back, and the stretch continue until the right heel and then the left heels. If you round your back, start to round your back, please always keep slightly knee bend. Don't hyperextension, okay? And so the one who can do more, then bend the knee and then you can grab. And then if you want them, let's say you go around and you're correcting them, you see off them. Okay, so the one who more advanced, you can do a longer dog because this is stretching and strengthening at the same time. You can do some plank and go into the dog if you want. And the one who stay too long, too hard for you, when I come to see you can do child pose, just hang here. Option 1, knee together, arms forward. Option 2, open the knee. Or you can also keep arms. So you kind of give the option for them while they're waiting for you to come. Okay, once the dog is learned, because I've seen a lot of people, first time to yoga, and you say, oh, go to downward dog. They don't know what do you mean by downward dog? I mean, they don't know what it is, downward dog. So you tell them to do things you don't know, and probably you, if you've never done yoga before, you don't know what it is, downward dog. The intention of downward dog is to really stretch all the back line, the superficial fascia of the back line, and if you go to Chinese medicine, it's called the bladder, the fear line, all the way behind here, go all the way behind your neck, behind your back, all the way here, behind your legs, onto your feet. It looks like a dog, but the shape's like an inversion V. So then you need to cueing them. I still cueing, even for the advanced student, because I see them doing sometimes not the right thing. They round their back, or they're hanging in, or their hands are not right. I'm still cueing, because this is mindful movement, is to really grounding, feel each part of the body, feel each part of it does a certain things, and so even that, okay? And then so I would cue each movement of the flow like that, and then when the flow is learned by each one, I'm adding them as a flow. But it has to be slow, very slow beginning to learn and cueing until the next one. Maybe the next flow, the downward dog would be, okay, now just grounding your hands, straighten your arm, open, and then they know it already, they know what you're trying to say. So you can go still slow, but a bit quicker to more like a flow. So please always cueing. This is for me is crucial. Why? Mindful movement and not gym, because otherwise they just go into the gym, they go running, they go into Zumba, they don't need to feel their body too much. It's different, okay? So please cueing and give option to your class, okay? And so I talk about engaging with the student, cueing, giving options, and then about the flow. What I find is one movement would flow to the next. What is the benefit of this flowing sequencing? Is because when you flow, then it seems like really your mind become a meditative flow with the breathing. Because if you, let's say, I'm doing something like, if you're downward dog and you're not going to warrior 2, impossible, because you need the step in between. You're gonna bend the knee, you're gonna step forward in 1 or twice. If option 1 here, some people cannot do it. Option 2, you ground in your feet, and so you use the strength, and then the one it'd be 12 o'clock, the back would be 9 o'clock, and then open your arm, warrior 2. But you're not gonna dog immediately to warrior 2. I mean, it doesn't make sense, doesn't flow. Or dog to tree pose, I mean, that's impossible. So it's not a dog stop, tree pose, you flow it in, okay? Some students, so when you more experienced, and I see that you know it, I mean, I'm talking to everyone here, so some you experience, you know how to flow, even though you might create spontaneous, which I do very often, last minute. So I see, okay, that movement can flow here, can flow there, whatever, I would like to do. If you're a beginner, please prepare the same flow for at least 10 times, at least. I used to do it for 2 months to 3 months, the same flow.
Whereas people with advantage do the same flow, and I add 1 or 2 funky poses at the end, I change often, so they see still changes, is because they see, yeah, at the beginning I do option 1, now I can advance to option 2, and then a certain option 3. After 3 months, they see evolution, they learn very well each movement, and you as well, you're like, oh yeah, that cueing is better that way, I become much better cueing, I think it's better, you know, you kind of learn as you're doing, because I think that's the best way to learn, or the best way to become a good teacher is to teach. I think there's no other way. You can have so many theories, but if you don't teach, I mean, yeah, you don't know how to teach. And so if you begin a teacher, please prepare your flow, practices, give option, and really drain you in and out. So you become such a flow at cueing, at giving option, at connecting, you feel more at ease, your voice become more confident as well, because now you know that's how you speak. So your energy that you're giving out is more confident the more you do the same flow. Obviously, I mean, advanced teachers, some of you are advanced teachers, you don't need to prepare, but I still find it quite useful for myself. Sometimes I completely like change and prepare, okay, because otherwise you're gonna go back to the same flow. So it's nice to also, you know, completely change upside down, adding by preparing. So, but beginner teacher, please prepare, stick to your flow, adding only the end poses, sometimes differently or a bit, you know, twisting a bit, decorating with the flowers, but don't change it all the time. Okay, so I guess that is more or less, you know, the whole idea. I can go in detail. The document will talk longer about how to engage, build community, make people feel safe, and all the cueing in details. But this is, for me, how mindful movement are. People feeling afterwards, they feel grounded, they feel energized, they feel open space, they feel connected, they don't feel exhausted, they breathe better, and that prepare them to be mindful during the day. Because it's too easy in an amazing environment to do yoga. The real mindful movement is actually when life gets hard. People shout at you, people don't treat you well, you know, things happen, you lose things. Then can you get mindful? Can you stay calm? Can you breathe mindfully? Can you let the energy flow and don't block it? For me, that's mindful movement. And then, yeah, if they feel so connected with you, obviously they're going to come back to your class. They come here because there's connection between you and the student. They feel at home with you, you feel at home with them. It's much nicer because it's all about energy. Your energy, their energy. There's a good flow. You feel much connected and much, I mean, welcoming. And you want to teach more and want to help them more. And also, yeah, one of the intention is I always want to improve and help people. I think that's crucial in mind, that you really focus on the client, you want to help them. And if you really motivate, you want to help them, I think you would be more creative, you would be more attentive, you would connect more, you give the attention fully to the client and to the whole atmosphere. Thank you so much. I will create a second video just on cueing, different poses like I've done, you know, in downward dog today, but I would just building up, and based on that you can I would create maybe also a anatomy lab. That means each poses I can split, make it so easy, make it so difficult, and cueing the whole time to make it accessible to everyone. You really need to cue, you really need to make it like a flow, and it has to make sense and fits together. But that would be the next topic. Namaste, and the opposite of namaste, I always like the yin and the yang. Thank you so much, and see you soon.